There we are. We're live.
We're live, baby.
And I feel like we're going to unleash today a little bit. So to balance, I have my Namaste mug just to be like, remind us of our balance.
Great. And to make things even better, I have Bailey's in my coffee. Cheers.
Beautiful. Cheers, girl.
Cheers.
This is the part where we stall and wait for people so we can do whatever. I'd always love, this is my dream, Alyssa, is if Facebook didn't censor music. This would be where we play a song. We would play a song.
It just cancels you, right?
Yeah, it would just mute the audio. But this is where I think like you'd play a really good song. And totally. I feel like today, like if we were to pick a song for today's conversation, I would maybe pick that Pink song, you know, like where she's going to fight. I don't remember the name of it.
What is it? I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
I love Pink. I know most of her songs.
Yeah. That's the one I feel like I'd be playing for us right now.
Yeah. And I think I'd be playing Who Run the World, Girls by Beyonce.
Also love that song.
Right? Be playing both. Make a max of it. Mishmash.
Yeah. 100%. Good morning, Kathy. Welcome. Lady Power Song. So as you're joining the coffee, pretend that you're listening to girl power songs and you're getting fired up. That's what you gotta, sometimes we gotta play. It's like the children's television shows. Okay, kids, it's time to use our imaginations. And I want you to hear this song. And yeah, so say good morning in the comments as you join. We'll get started here in a moment. I put today I put a scrolling swearing warning. What do you think?
I like it. I think it really reminds people of what's going to fucking happen today.
It's so good. Okay. Well, welcome to Virtual Coffee Club. Today is WTF Wednesday. So I like to warn people in advance that today is the day where we get a little sweary. So if you are sensitive to swear words, particularly the F word, now would be the time to bow out of coffee chat with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. And that's okay. We have no judgment. But what we found in our kindness revolution and our quest of positivity is we all need a day where we can just let it go. We have to express the things that piss us off. We have to yell at the things that make us mad. We have to vent about the frustrations we have in this world, because I don't know about you, Alyssa, but every day there is something that I am saying, what the fuck was that? And so
every day.
This is the very first time we've had a guest on What the Fuck Wednesday, which I'm really excited about. Kelly's here, Heather's here. So friends, if you're part of Coffee Club on the reg, you've probably recognized this face. We had Alyssa on, gosh, would have been a couple months ago now, as she was the creator and the host of the Mick Winter Games, which I feel like we need to do a whole other follow-up show on that, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I have people like, there's lots of people in Coffee Club who have been like, so what happened and where are we at? And I was like,
my husband had like some clients be like, hey, you know, like I follow you on social media, so I watched this. Can you like give us an update? Like and like people who we have no idea who they are. It was so great.
Yeah, you need to really do like the follow-up show. Even though there's not really like, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot really to follow up with.
No, it's kind of like The Bachelor. It's like you get really excited, you watch the whole thing, and then at the very end, you're just disappointed.
Yeah. Well, kind of like really simplistic to dating in this world right now is you get really excited about it and then you're disappointed.
Through that.
That's a whole other What the Fuck Wednesday episode, I'm sure. But so welcome, Alyssa, to hang out with us. And I was telling the club yesterday that I saw your rant on Instagram the other day. And the whole time you were talking, I was just like, yes, yes, yes to everything you were saying. So I reached out and said, I need you to come to share that. And really what's been happening in the news over the last little bit is there's a huge what the fuck going on when it comes to women's safety. And I think where the debate went sideways, probably for both of us, and I'll let you unload on this for a minute, Alyssa, is people started debating whether or not stories that were being posted on Facebook were true or not, versus the real issue of the fact that when women are out walking, they feel vulnerable and they're not safe. That's a realistic statement. It's a fact. and it's got to stop. And it fired you right up. So let me know, like, where did it hit for you?
So for me, very similar, just hearing all of these, and I'm sure that everybody has seen them on Facebook, all of these like possible abductions that almost happened. All these times where like women are getting, we've been catcalled, and that all of us have been catcalled from the time that we're like 10. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, men specifically who don't have to deal with it, and also some generations who just never also had to deal with it. So what really kind of stuck with me was seeing all these, and of course I was a little bit scared, especially it's happening in my neighborhood, it's happening in Okotoks, it's happening kind of all over Calgary. And I was like, wow, this is, finally the time that we're going to stand up and say, this is no longer acceptable. And then it was when people started coming out and saying, oh, well, this might not be true. We don't really know the full side of the story. And I have to say first, things like racism and sexism and ageism and all the isms, they do not need a devil's advocate, nor do they deserve a devil's advocate. If a woman is saying, I felt unsafe and this is what happened, who are you to go to her and say, well, we don't know the full truth, so we don't know if we can believe you. And that is the epitome of victim blaming, and that is the epitome of why our society is the way it is. So that was the piece that got me super fired up. And then had a bunch of messages from men saying, well, it's not all men. And then I was like, all right, it's not all men. Let's go. So that's how.
And why, like, I get how that makes me feel right away. So like, our what the fuck is to guys who say not all men for a moment. And not that we want to bag on you, but that's the problem.
Absolutely. And I think, I know most of you, most men in the world are great. 90% of men are going to be there for us. There are husbands, there are sons, there are brothers, there are fathers, and most men are amazing. But there is that 10% of men that, are out to hurt us, whether intentionally or not intentionally. Our society continues to perpetuate it. So I have some, metaphors for you. So I say 90% of men are great, and 10% of men are, harmful for us. So if I had a box of chocolates and I gave it to you, and 9 of them were chocolate and 1 of them was a piece of shit, and you didn't know which one was actual piece of shit, would you eat any of the chocolates, or would you be like, what the fuck, Alyssa? No, I'm not going to take your fucking chocolates. Why would you put shit in it and then hand it to me? Right. So I'm going to leave you with that one. Another one that really stuck with me. And again, when people say not all men, the men who we know are good would never have to say it. They would never have to reach out and be like, hey, I'm a good guy. We're like, yeah, then prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. Stand up for us. Be our loving husbands. Be the guy who's willing to put their feelings first and step up for us. Another metaphor I really liked was not all sharks. If you found out that there was a bunch of sharks in the ocean, and like most of them weren't gonna kill you, but that one is probably there's 10 of them in there, would you go into the ocean? Sure, most sharks are docile and most sharks aren't going to hurt you, but I don't know anyone who would be like, yeah, you know what, we're going to go into the ocean because it's not all sharks. It's just silly. And that's sadly how we have to be. That's the exact same thing. It's like, yes, we understand that 90% of men are going to be there to help us, and 90% of men are amazing men. But we're walking down the street and 10 men walk towards us, and we know that one of them is going to harm us. We're going to walk to the other side of the street. And that's just the way that it is. And that's sadly what we've been taught, again, since we've been 8, 9. When we were young girls, we're taught this. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, and I think the thing is the most frustrating for me, that fires me up the most in these, whether it's women's rights like we're talking about today or whatever of the other isms, is people choose to comment on it not knowing what it's really like. So unless you've been in that situation where you're a woman walking to the C train or being on Calgary Transit or walking anywhere when you're by yourself and there's a group of guys or a guy walking anywhere near you, how you immediately start to feel. Unless you're someone who has been in those shoes and experienced that feeling, you don't get to fucking comment on it. You don't get to say what's right or what's wrong or not all guys or whatever, because you have no fucking clue how terrifying that feels.
And it's so similar, like, you know, the fact that, you know, we are part of the marginalized group, we're women, but we're white women. We don't know what it feels like to be a woman of color. So we also don't have the right to say, oh, well, you know, I'm also a woman. No, 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 no. We do not know the same level of discrimination that women of color get. So we are here to support women of color. Just like men are here to support us. There is no deciding what's right or what's wrong and deciding if a story is real or not. I think one of the major things with when it came out and they said, you know, well, these stories aren't real that are on social media, because the Calgary police, you know, they came out with a statement that said, oh, well, they're not, you know, we don't have any truth.
So did
the sad part about it is that, you know, a lot of people, like, and I don't think people really know. And I think I told my husband to look at the stats. He's like, I'm just interested, you know, why wouldn't people report? And 97% of sexual assaults don't go reported because they just are like scared. They know that they're going to be put in harm. They know that they're going to be judged. If you go into a court, and if you do, you know, it does go to court, they're going to bring up all your past sexual partners. They're going to bring up everything you've ever worn, and they're basically going to demolish you. So, you know, it's very, very hard for women to step forward. So I think that by asking them, well, why didn't you, you know, write a report, is also a little bit of victim blaming, which is a whole other issue. Another part of that is, even if you do write a report, we see in the movies and everything, and it's true, it takes like 3 times to write a report for like them to really do anything. Because of course our justice system is flawed in certain ways, but you are, you know, proven innocent until you're proven guilty, which is great. And that's what we should be doing. However, when it comes to women, it's always his word versus her word. And almost all the time, his word is taken more seriously.
And can we talk for a moment about the bullshit that surrounds how I act, how I look, if I wear my hair a certain way, my makeup a certain way, if I wear clothing of a certain type, if I want to accentuate the femininity that God created for me, I'm asking for it.
That's what they say. And it's interesting because I fucking hate it. Bullshit. In the UK, they actually are having this whole thing where there was a woman, she was 33, and she was murdered by a police officer. And they came out with what she was wearing, and she was wearing layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And it really showcases that it doesn't matter what you wear. Example, I wore a shirt that said, "Rub me for luck," on St. Patrick's Day.
Of course you did.
I had a shirt that said that, and that does not, and of course nobody touched me because it's a funny shirt. But even if I have a shirt that literally says "Rub me for luck," you have no right to touch me, and you have no right to do anything that I don't consent to. I think an interesting part that this kind of goes back to like the dress code in schools too, right? Where girls will wear a spaghetti strap and get sent home from school because they're going to distract the boys and the male teachers. What the fuck? Like, really? Sorry, the male teachers are going to be distracted by the 12-year-old girls. So, but you think the problem is the girl wearing this spaghetti strap? That's what we're going to fucking sit on. Okay. Over it. Hashtag.
So over it. How do we break through this, Alyssa? How do we, I think it's going to start with today's parents, for one, but like, what do you think? Because I mean, not that we're here to provide all the solutions. We just want to vent about how stupid we think this fucking situation is. But what do we do?
Okay, so I sat on this, and I chatted with Steve, my husband, who I think a lot of people know him. He's the coolest. But he's so cool. But we sat down, and he's like, you know, what can I really do? I'm here. I'm like, I try my very best to show up. I only live by consent. Even in our marriage, you know, like what do we do as men? And we really kind of sat down and talked about it. And I think the number one thing to do, and that we can do like just today, is talk to our women around us and ask like them about their experience without judgment, without saying like, oh, well, I don't know if that's true. Really listen to your wife or your sister or your daughter's experiences, and really sit with them and think about, if you were in those shoes, how you would feel. By doing that, we really allow, especially our men, to really sit in what it feels like to be a woman on a daily basis. So really asking for those stories, sharing those stories, storytelling is really going to help make our society more aware of how the actual implications of what people are saying is doing. So that's number one. Number two is we need to teach our sons how not to assault more than we teach our daughters how not to be assaulted. We don't do that. We teach our daughters how to dress properly. I actually had a woman message me on Instagram and say, you know how hard it is. I have to tell my 5-year-old daughter that she can't wear makeup out of the house, and she can't wear her mini dress out of the house because it's in house. Because how do I tell my daughter that it's for her own safety? She's like, the fact that we have to teach our daughters that, but we let our sons run around and, oh, boys will be boys. Oh, they're fine. Boys are just, that's how they are. No, that's not how they are. And we need to change that. I saw a quote that was, the fact that women mature faster than boys. Like girls mature faster than boys. So girls are always more mature than boys. And we always hear, well, boys mature slower, so give them a break. We never hear girls mature faster, so let's help them lead.
Yeah.
It's always, how do we make the boys more comfortable? It's never how do we keep the girls alive?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And the third piece is starting to stand up for the small things that you hear. So when your buddy goes to the bar and is like, oh, look at that girl, and is being really degrading, look at your buddy and be like, no, buddy, that's no longer acceptable. It's going to make you uncomfortable, but it's going to save a woman's life. When someone makes rape jokes or makes jokes about, women being in the kitchen, just tell them it's not acceptable and really watch those jokes, because the jokes that we say every day continue to add up, and then it adds and creates the narrative that we have and we live in. So stand up for those little things. When your buddy says something inappropriate, or when you say something inappropriate, I'm also guilty for it. How many times have I been like, oh my God, look at that girl's skirt, it's so short. I'm part of the problem. We all are. And we all have to understand that those little comments add to the patriarchy and add to the misogyny that we have in our society. And then the big things. Stand up for the big things. If you see a woman walking alone and she looks uncomfortable, don't walk right up to her and say, do you need help? Because she's not going to believe you. She's also going to think you're a predator. But, if a guy's following her, call out the guy. Be like, hey, buddy, I see you following her. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
That's what we can do to make things better. So anyways, that's my rant. So thank you for listening. Very passionate about this.
One thing I would like to see people sort of take a stance on too, and I don't want to pick on a local municipality, but one of the pieces with this that kind of hit me the wrong way the other day, and I didn't say anything or do anything, but I'm thinking about it now, is that because one of these stories that was not true was posted in a mom's group in Okotoks, which is a community outside of Calgary for people who don't know. And the debate then was that it's not a real story. But if you saw when people posted that and started sharing it, there were women who were sharing times when they felt like they were being followed. They felt like they were followed to their car. They were sharing those experiences. And then it got completely twisted around. And I get it. I mean, you and I are both communications people. We understand how things get spun. But then the town of Okotoks, the municipality, put out a story with the police saying, this story wasn't true. And if it was, you come here and we would have told you the story was true. I'm sorry, town of Okotoks. How about you start talking to your community about if this is a real feeling that your citizens are having, what the fuck are you going to do about it, town of Okotoks?
100%.
What is your police force going to do? What are you going to do as a community? Citizens in that town, what are you going to do to rally behind that? Because people felt it was true. So it doesn't matter if it was or it wasn't. It's not, oh, I talked to the people at the dollar store and they said that never happened. Who cares? What if it does happen? Do you have a plan in place as a municipality if this kind of thing started happening in your community? As a woman living near Okotoks, I want to know if that started happening in my community, what are you doing to keep me safe? What are you doing to stop this bullshit behavior? Instead of telling me, oh, if you want to hear a real story, come here. Fuck off.
Seriously, I don't give a fuck about whether it's true or not either. It really doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is every woman has a story of this happening. Literally. Like that story might have not been true, but I don't give a fuck because I have umpteen stories of the exact same thing happening to me in different situations. But you just like, but for the longest time, you just like kind of roll your eyes and you're like, yeah, it sucks, but that's life. But why? I don't want it to be fucking life anymore. I don't want to have to walk through the streets terrified anymore because everybody's uncomfortable. And that's the thing, Jody, is like you say, like the municipality, they're uncomfortable. It makes them uncomfortable. So instead of dealing with the problem, they just brush it off, pretending, oh, well, it's not true, so like not a huge deal. No, this is a very uncomfortable situation. And so is racism. Racism is a very uncomfortable situation and an uncomfortable conversation to have, but we have to have it. We have to be okay with getting uncomfortable because the people who are keeping comfortable have been comfortable for too long, and they genuinely don't know what it's like. And it's bullshit.
Now, my last piece that I saw and was like, what a great idea is, I don't know if you've heard of these or if you can see it.
I have, yeah.
They're called the Stay Safe Kitty Keychain. And so basically, as you saw, they're like a little cat face. I don't know if you can see it good there. And that's where you put your fingers through. So then I'm like, oh, what an ingenious invention to help people feel better. And then I was hit with, why the fuck did we have to invent that? Why is someone now making money off of the fact that women feel unsafe, but we're not going to talk about it?
Exactly. We're like, oh, and like the fact of the matter is, like, again, like the amount of times I've been told, yeah, that is a really, hard situation. Just like remove yourself from the situation. Okay, so you're telling me that I feel unsafe. So because men are making me feel unsafe. Yet you're asking me to remove myself from the situation, and you're going to say, oh, well, we don't want to ruffle any feathers for him. So you uproot my life, and he doesn't even know what he did. Because I'm not going to go up to him. I'm uncomfortable. Just like you said, Jody, like, okay, so, well, just go ahead and buy, like, it's only $15. Buy the little kitty thing that you can punch somebody in the eyes. What? Instead of being like, hey, men, we are no longer doing this. And I saw something really interesting. And of course I don't actually want this, but I saw hashtag curfew for men, like make men go in at 9 p.m. And then this one guy was like, well, I'm afraid walking alone too. And somebody was like, why? Because a group of men will jump you? So anyways, I do not think that this is all men, and I do not think there should be a curfew for men. That's so silly, but it's just the fact of the matter is like, it's like men are, and when men say like, I'm also afraid. Yeah, because you're afraid of men.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of a bunch of women running up to you with a bunch of fucking boas and being like, woo! Like, actually you would be, but
well, and that could happen too. Like it's not only one-sided. I think
no, it's not.
Speaking, the numbers are larger for the other direction, but it's possible. And I think it just comes down to us having, say, like you said, the more we can have conversations about the things that make us feel uncomfortable, the further we're going to get ahead. If we are afraid to have those conversations, change will never happen. And it's hard because in a world of social media, when you want to share something like that, you open the door for people to attack you on it. And that's also another whole What the Fuck Wednesday episode that we could do on just people. Bottom line, at the end of the day, just be kind. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, agreed.
That's it. Well, I appreciate you sharing your stories, your insight, your ideas, and your swear words with me today.
Absolutely, baby.
You're a doll. And yeah, we'll have to make you like a regular character, I think, here. We'll check in on different things from time to time, and appreciate you hanging out with us. Happy What the Fuck.
And I am always honored to come join you. Cheers.
And thank you, friends. If anybody wants to throw something in the comments, I know there was a few coming in as we were talking. If you want to share your thoughts on that, give a comment. Say something, maybe you want to share a story of your own of something that's happened to you and you feel safe. Virtual Coffee Club is a safe space where you can share that. If you feel like you need to get that off your chest, please do. And feel free to, surround it with some swear words if that helps you feel better too. I know it does for me. And if there's anything else, we capitalized the conversation with this, with this women's issue that I think needs 1,001 coffee chats. But if there's something else that you need to get off your chest today, what's your what the fuck today? Please post it in the comments and share, because this is your space to yell your swear words via comments also. Anything else get you up into your craw this week, Alyssa?
What the fuck? It's going to be snowing tomorrow?
Was like, I thought it's spring. Just kidding. It's a
Yeah,
stupid
just kidding.
groundhog's fault. Like, this is
Yeah,
why.
no, mostly it's just, what the fuck? Why can't I run around and do whatever I want without being...
Yeah. Well, I said that yesterday. I felt like we almost needed What the Fuck Tuesday also, because it was the day after no restrictions being lifted in Alberta. And I know we have people watching from all over, so there's different restrictions everywhere. But for Albertans, we had no restrictions lifted and a dump of snow. It was like a double fuck you. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else is on your mind today, friends? Feel free to post it in the comments. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for Thankful Thursday. We'll balance out our swearing with feeling joyful for something. So
Love it. Thanks for having me on, Jody. Thanks for listening to my rant, everybody.
Yeah, have those uncomfortable conversations. That's your challenge for today. And thanks
Absolutely.
for